Auburn's schedule this weekend got significantly tougher.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us today, Brian Smith, host of The Portal, Locked On's recruiting, transfer portal, and NIL show. Brian, we'll talk about Jackson Arnold. This is a big week for Jackson Arnold returning home to Oklahoma. Auburn being as bad as some Auburn fans think that they are after a 31-15 win over South Alabama. We'll continue that conversation because that hasn't gone away yet. But let's kind of zoom out just a hair for a moment. Auburn's schedule for the vast majority of the offseason, you and I have discussed it 24 times this calendar year, where like, okay, these next 3 games are brutal. But then after that, if you just have your feet set, you could be okay until the Iron Bowl. But, man, when you look at what happened in the SEC this weekend, A&M beating Notre Dame, Arkansas looking way more competitive than we thought, Vanderbilt going to South Carolina, proving that they're legit. A lot of these games that we chalked up as likely wins, I think, got significantly tougher.
Yeah, like Arkansas is the one that is really – I don't think it shocks me quite as much as it might some others, but like Taylor Green's a graduate student and a 6'5" athlete.
He's a dude.
Spin it.
Yeah.
Like their defense is not where it needs to be. But if you screw around and have any turnovers or anything, you can lose to Arkansas, especially because you got to go to their place. So that's iffy. Oklahoma has material. I thought he'd be good. He's a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, he's proved me wrong.
Yeah,
he's proved me wrong for sure.
He's flat out legit. Yep. A&M's Marcel Reed had one of the weirdest stat lines of the history of college football. He threw for 360 against Notre Dame, but it's not because of accuracy. He was 17-37, but he averaged 21.2 yards per completion. Like, if you screw around with them, they got speed everywhere. Mario Craver lit Notre Dame Stadium on fire. He had 207 yards receiving by himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, their schedule is wild. And by the way, I think Missouri's a lot better than what people think, too. And they're coming to Jordan-Hare. They got a pretty good defense, but they don't do well with mobile quarterbacks. So that could be a shootout, but good running game. If you take them lightly, and, of course, you got Bama and Georgia. We're pretty much at the point where every game you better be playing well or you could lose.
Yeah.
Talent, but, yeah, I agree with you. It's win up.
Yeah, let's look at these next 3 games. Obviously, Oklahoma this weekend, very important. I said going into the season, Baylor is the most important game. Then if you beat Baylor, it becomes Oklahoma. And I think that's where we're at right now. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia. This is a brutal stretch, Brian. And when I did my, preseason predictions for Auburn, I had them going 8-4, but I had them losing these next 3 games. I think Auburn's in a spot where if you can win 1 or somehow 2 of these next 3 games, the conversation around this football team is going to dramatically shift in a positive direction, despite how I think Auburn fans might feel about it in the moment.
Auburn fans remember the last 8 or 9 years where they're always close and don't get over the hump. And I get it.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them. But, I mean, if you just look at the eye test, and I'm not picking on anybody, but Jackson Arnold is so much of an improvement at quarterback. He has no picks. He's hitting over 69%. He's nice. A truck coming around the corner if he takes off on RPO, and he's smart enough to slide. He's not an idiot. That alone makes you, 1 or 2 games better than last year, just at one spot. And then you add Singleton and these guys, you can score with anybody. I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast before we did this show, and they're talking about, well, they've got the guys now. They can compete with anybody. That'll be a game, blah, blah, blah. Like last year, that would not have been the conversation at all. Mm-hmm. The national media talking about Auburn was not the way it happened last year. So the roster is different. So I get having pessimism as an Auburn fan. You've earned that right.
Oh, yeah. It's there.
It's legitimate. But the team looks total. I mean, I haven't been to the games and watched it like you have, but I watched enough, and just the Cam Coleman stuff. Like my mom could throw touchdowns to Cam. Like it's not that rocket science kind of deal. They're going to score with anybody. To me, and it's why the first thing I did before this podcast, I checked the defensive stats. Their run defense is the most important thing to talk about. The D line is better at making key plays, just run gap fits and all that stuff. They're annoying to play now. They're not dominant, but they're annoying. So
right.
In any game.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, every game throughout, with maybe the exception of Kentucky and Mercer,
they should smoke them.
with it being at home too. Like, just every road game you have from here on out. Unfortunately, you're going to get 2 of them out of the way quickly, and then going to Arkansas, I think is tricky. And then I guess you go to Vandy. Is that right? Yeah. Then you go to Vandy. Like all 4 of those road games.
Vandy didn't.
That's brutal. That's tough.
Beat South Carolina, Zach. They punched them in the nose over and over again.
I picked Vandy in this game on other shows where we pick more than just the Auburn game. Like I picked Vandy, but I don't want to take anything away from Vandy when I say this, but I think there's a real shot that South Carolina isn't as good as we thought that they were.
Their line of scrimmage is nowhere near as good as last year.
Yeah, Lenoris, I think, is really good. He didn't seem 100% on Saturday. Once again, I'm not taking anything away from Vandy because, like you said, they didn't just win; they dominated throughout the entire. Like, even when it was kind of close, like South Carolina, like you just knew the game was like they didn't have it. They didn't have it in them. And so, like, once again, not taking anything away from Vandy, but I don't think South Carolina is as good as that number that was next to their name this past weekend.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And that Diego Pavia guy, as Hugh Freeze will tell you, that sucker's clutch, man. If he needs 4 yards on a run, he gets 4.5. If he needs 11 yards on a pass, he gets 12.
Yeah, there's nobody like him in college football right now. There's nobody like him in college football right now. And I know he won't get Heisman buzz because he plays at Vandy, but if that dude's anywhere else, I know Vandy's, that conversation is coming up.
No conversation for them at that school. But yeah, you're right. Maybe they got to beat Bama again this year or somebody. I know it wouldn't shock me. Like anything is possible with that team. So the other thing that I want to bring up.
Hey, just real quick, while we're talking about Auburn going on the road, because the next 2 games are obviously on the road. So at Oklahoma, at A&M, at Arkansas, at Vandy. What is Auburn's record in those 4 road games?
At best, I would say 2-2 would be my guess.
At best. Yeah.
I mean, that's normally like if you said 5 years from now, here's the schedule, I would say 2-2 at worst. Mm-hmm. But Vandy is up and Arkansas. So they both have graduate students that are good at quarterback.
Yeah.
You picked the wrong year to play them on the road. Well, not that Auburn picked it, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I got you.
But now my question for you is, how much of an advantage is it for Jackson Arnold to have played under the Venable system and seen all that junk that he's an incredible defensive mind? Does that impact the game?
I mean, I think you got to hope that it does. Similar defense, right? Yeah, I mean, I think that goes both ways.
I agree.
Venables, and I would almost say that benefits the defensive side more than the offensive side. I think you actually can make a better argument that benefits Venables more than it benefits Jackson.
It could. He seems like a totally different player in terms of confidence this year. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I think he's done everything that's been asked of him. I know some people want more out of the passing game and all of that, but when he needed to pass against Baylor, he did. When he needed to run against Baylor, he did. When he needed to make the right call in an RPO, he has. And then he's played against 2 inferior opponents, one of which dominated, was extremely efficient. The other against South Alabama, I said this on both of the shows I've done since then, Brian, but his first half against South Alabama was his best half as an Auburn Tiger, in my opinion. Second half wasn't. Hugh Freeze talked about how that he didn't call anything, aggressive, was maybe too conservative and all of that, which I don't know if that's really a thing right now when you look at who they were playing against. Just get the win. I don't need you to dominate South Alabama. I just need you to win and keep folks healthy. They didn't really keep folks healthy, which I think is somewhat of a concern here. But yeah, I think Jackson Arnold's been fine. I don't think that's the weakness of Auburn right now. I don't think it's Jackson Arnold.
I don't either. And I know just from speaking with you multiple times, that was your biggest concern.
It was a big one.
Do you feel the same now? Would you change your order? Like biggest concern now is what?
Biggest concern now is safety.
Okay.
Then play caller. Then tight end.
Tight end we knew could be an issue because they had some injuries or something. They would get really young really fast.
Yeah, Rico hit the portal. And then Preston Howard was like one of the worst games I've seen from an individual in a minute. Like almost to the point where like there's no way that happens again. There's no way. Auburn credited him with just one drop. I'm not buying that. But
no comment.
You gotta catch the football. You gotta catch the football when you're wide open, when you're somewhat open, and even like in some situations, like even when you're covered and it hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. You got to catch it. So
that's the way it's got to be, brother.
Yeah. So 4 targets coming up empty on all of them. That's one of them. Fine. But the other 3, I'm like, he should have caught those and he should have had a touchdown. All right. Is the stuff that Auburn gave up in the second half, is it really that bad? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at The Game Cap. TheGameCaps.com got comments over the weekend about this hat. There's like, oh, that's one of the ones from the 80s. I said, yeah, it is. And guess what? If you go to TheGameCaps.com and use promo code Locked On, you can pay the same price that it cost folks when they bought it in the 80s. $16.99. I told a family member who brought it up. I said, look, yeah, they're a sponsor. Sure. My favorite hat that I own. I haven't stopped wearing it since they sent me some. Head over to thegamecaps.com. Use promo code Locked On to get an exclusive deal for Locked On listeners because legends wear the game. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. 17, not 15, not 16, 17. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith of the Portal, also Locked On Seminoles. Shockingly good. Hats off to you guys.
Well, their Florida State's been legit this year.
Yeah, they're pretty legit. So, and they beat Bama, which is great. So the discussion within the Auburn fan base, and it hasn't gone away. I thought like a lot of people would wake up Sunday morning and it'd be the same. It's almost gotten worse, which is interesting. And I want your thoughts on this. Is, oh my goodness, with what Auburn allowed defensively against South Alabama and only scoring 31 points against South Alabama, a lot of folks are saying 7-5 is now the ceiling for this team, that Auburn's set to go 6-6 because of this defense, the pass defense. What are your thoughts on that reaction to what Auburn gave up to South Alabama on Saturday?
I think that's a little far-fetched. They still have a ton of talent in that secondary. It's ironic. You and I were talking about this in the spring and then in the fall camp.
Yep.
You look at the safety spot, just like talent in general, it's pretty
there.
Dark. Yeah, I mean, it's not a lack of recruiting.
You know what's the craziest thing about the safety spot is Caleb Harris. Okay. He was so good as a freshman, and he just seems he seems to be like a step slower than he was last year, and just he was always kind of in the right spot as a freshman, and he's his eyes are in the backfield a lot more. It's almost like he's thinking more now than he did as a freshman.
The old saying, paralysis by analysis. I don't know if DJ's defense added some stuff that's not working inside his head or what, but
yeah, maybe.
Caleb's grade on PFF for coverage is 58.6, but it's not Champ Anthony's. He's 34.3. Like that's concerning. I don't know. Like, is Winters going to play more? Is Fagan's going to play more? Like,
I would have thought last week would have been the time to do that.
I know.
If you were going to do it. I can't see that being a thing where like, oh, let's keep the freshmen and like, really put them on the field on the road in Norman against Oklahoma against, one of the guys that's competing for the Heisman. Like, I don't know if that's really the move to like really just put them in the fire, but
that might be why they didn't, because at the end of the day, it's not just coverage against OU. For those you don't know, Mateer's rocked up. He's about 220. You're going to tackle him. You better be ready to tackle.
Yeah.
Freshmen against him, I'm sure they think they can be just fine, but you better be. He's an athlete. Like, he can make guys miss and all that.
Right.
They probably want veteran guys out there in the run game and the screen game. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't, like, Anthony's not good. So that's a concern. Maybe
and he was so good a year ago, but a lot of it was more outside stuff. They've moved him to like play some nickel and some safety.
Nickel is hard. Nickel is
tough.
really hard, man. It really is. But they want somebody that's got some experience there. Like, at some point, Winters will probably be Auburn's nickel at some point in his career. Physically, he's ready. Is he ready for the mental part of it? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and to some extent, there's only so much you can know until you just see if they could do it or not, which might be part of the strategy. Let me just point out a few things. And look, let me be very clear. Like, I think there's some issues with the middle of the field defensive backs, whether it's nickel or safety. Like, let me be very clear. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying it's good, but I am going to just read a few stats because we're acting like they got torched and carved up. And Davenport for the entire game threw for 170 yards. It's not like, and once again, I kept having to check the box score because of the way people were talking about this. And I'm taking the emotional aspect out of this. Like, I'm taking the emotional aspect of like, Auburn's playing against South Alabama. They don't care. South Alabama's playing against Auburn. They do care. Like, I'm taking that out. But that is an element of this that does matter. And once again, Auburn has always done this, played down to their level of competition, especially at like morning games, whatever. Taking all of that out of it. And like, people are talking about how we got carved up, and I'm looking at the 170 passing yards. Okay. And a good chunk of those came after this phantom DPI call. And so, like, if you take that out, it's even less. And then also South Alabama, they scored 15 points.
Auburn's, I think their defensive run ability is key, because unless they punch it on one of these big plays, Auburn, I think, has the ability to bow up in the red zone. That's a good sign. But you're still right. Whether it's Champ, whether it's Caleb, somebody else, they need to figure out one more safety that's an experienced guy that the staff trusts is going to have to play a little better. Especially, again, like their next 3 games, a bunch of NFL players are going up against.
Yeah.
So even like certain quarterback, even at Georgia, that throw he made against Tennessee, holy cow. Every guy you go up against, if you're out of position, that can smoke you. And like, I'm looking at some of the stats right now. I didn't realize it was this, but this is the one stat that really does bother me. Caleb Harris is giving up 25 yards per catch this year.
Yeah. Yeah. When he's messing up, it's big. Like, he's letting somebody run past him. Right. He's flat-footed, looking in the backfield. And that's happened a few times. And like, that only has to happen once in a game and you lose. That's a big deal. That can't happen.
Yeah. Games like Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, those 3 in particular, I think will all be 10 points or less one way or the other. Maybe the Arkansas game. You can't have somebody get over your head.
Yeah. I mean, there was a situation, I'm forgetting the exact score, but Auburn was up. It might've been 17-3 against Baylor. And it's like 4th and 8, 4th and 9.
Oh.
And they've got a chance to just step on their throat. And a guy runs right by Caleb Harris. And it's a touchdown. And then that let them back in the game, right? And obviously Auburn kind of took control of it later in the second half, but it's just, you had an opportunity to win it in the first half. Like, you had the opportunity to just say, no, we're not doing this. You have no hope. We're going to bury you in the first half. And that's something I've kind of brought up a lot when I do these immediate post games. Brian, I brought it up for the Baylor game, and then I brought it up against South Alabama. It's like Auburn has had these moments to just step on the opponent's throat. They even had that at times last year, and they just aren't doing it. Nobody's that dude who steps up and says, I'm going to be the guy to finish this thing before the clock hits 0. And I don't know how much of that's culture, because I do think talent-wise, like, Auburn has those dudes, but is it the right mindset? I keep waiting for somebody to happen on either side of the ball, and it hasn't really happened yet. Rayshon Pleasant kind of had that moment when he returned the kick against Baylor for a touchdown. I mean, that was great. But that's kind of the closest thing so far to that.
They need somebody else to step up to be a spark guy, especially for the secondary. They need some confidence. And the film is accumulating. Obviously, Mateer can spin it. Like, he's going to throw for 250 and run for 70 this weekend. That's going to happen. If you're frustrated against South Alabama, maybe you should get another hobby between now and Saturday, because Oklahoma is going to be very frustrating for Auburn fans. Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
the Marcel Reed kid, he could go play wide receiver at Auburn athletically. Like, those kinds of things, they're going to have to be more disciplined with their eyes, because those guys are going to extend plays and be annoying as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Southeastern Conference. That's why you want the challenge. Yeah, there it is.
Here we go.
So, and even again, like Georgia's quarterback, I thought he was like, man, he's pretty good. He couldn't have thrown that fourth down ball any better against, like, that's as good as throws I've seen this year.
Yeah. Against Tennessee. Yeah.
Like 4th and 8 or something. Like, come on.
What a great weekend of college football. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. It was spectacular.
This week, it's all about Jackson Arnold. It's all about Jackson Arnold returning home. What does that mean? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. It's the best place to play daily fantasy sports. Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, no spaces. Locked On College for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Right now, you can bet $5. $5. And if your first $5 bet wins, you get $300 back in bonus bets to use throughout the app. Auburn heading to Norman. I'm trying to pull it up here. I think it's 5.5. It's 5.5 when I pulled. Yes, 5.5. Over under 49.5. That's lower than I would have expected. I'm not going to lie to you. But Auburn, a 5.5 point dog. I guess 4.5 on yesterday's show when we recorded before the line was up. Take that for what it's worth. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us for a few more minutes. The amount of attention that the college football world is about to bestow on Jackson Arnold should be every reason why he chose to come to Auburn, to stay in the SEC as an elite former 5-star guy. This should be everything you want. You get a chance to prove to the world that you are the guy who was rated to be elite coming out of high school. You are the guy that says, yes, Oklahoma, while I had great fan support and support from the program, like, you shouldn't have, you should have built around me more. I should have been your guy. And yes, you have this Heisman Trophy candidate, but I want to prove to you that I am the guy that you guys thought that I was against you in Norman. He has every opportunity to change everything said about him for the foreseeable future this week, Brian?
I think the first series is paramount that you, Freeze, and him are on the same page. I don't know how they do it. Hey, which plays do you like against this defense? You obviously know it because you were there for 2 years, yada, yada, yada. That first drive is huge because that place goes bananas. I don't know how many people are familiar with Oklahoma. I assume most. That place is loud and proud.
Starting fast has been a big talking point. They did not score on their first drive against Baylor. It was a 3-and-out. They did not score in their first drive against Ball State. They did score on their first drive against South Alabama, but it did take a 4th down conversion to kind of keep things going.
Well, they need to scheme some crap up because if you let Oklahoma get out fast, and Mateer's going to make plays no matter what you scheme. He's just legit.
Yep.
You cannot let him play from a lead. That makes them different because their running game is kind of funky. Like they're just starting to get it going. They got some good running backs, but they haven't blocked it up well. So if they're balanced where they can run, call whatever, it's an issue for them. And then you can tee off on Mateer. He's already been beat up quite a bit. He had 20 runs against Michigan, by the way. That's a lot for a quarterback. But if you get behind him, that's a problem. So I'm hoping for Jackson's sake that all the Heisman talk about Mateer motivates it. It would me if I was Jackson Arnold.
It has to, right? If he's the guy that we think he is, that shows that moxie and that confidence and that swagger that kind of perked itself up when he was on the road in Waco to start the season. It was at some point in the third quarter where I kind of leaned back and I'm like, oh, Jackson Arnold has swag. I didn't know that. We hoped it, but I just didn't know that. We need that to be a thing in Norman. All of the boos and all of the cheers that he's going to hear from his former team and the boos towards him that he's going to hear in Norman. What kind of guy are you? Is that going to fire you up? Are you about to say, okay, let's go. Let's do this thing? I mean, only time will tell. We're going to learn. We're going to learn so much about him and about this team on Saturday.
I think he'll be a pretty good leader in that moment. And I think it'll fire him up. That doesn't mean he's going to be more accurate. And at the end of the day, accuracy and passing pretty much trumps all.
It's important. Just a little bit.
My only concern is that he's so ticked off that it didn't work out for him there, that he presses and tries to make a dumb pass. And as we've seen, and it happened last year against Oklahoma, ironically, the ball goes the other way once. Because in this game, one play like that is an L.
Yeah.
That is my one concern. And I'm sure that Freeze and his staff have discussed that ad nauseum since the end of the South Alabama. That's probably like in private. Like, we got to make sure we don't put him in a spot where he does something that he's going to regret. And we do too.
If he wins this game, I mean, it changes how you talk about Auburn football.
100%.
It changes how you talk about Jackson Arnold.
Because you knock off a team that's got a chance at the playoff, maybe end the guy's Heisman, and you win a game that I doubt many people are picking Auburn to win. What's the spread, by the way? I have no idea.
5.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 5-ish. Yeah. I mean, it's a touchdown game. So, again, one play, if Jackson makes it instead of John, Auburn gets the dub. It's pretty much, I know that sounds really generic, but it is. But that's why football is awesome, too. That's why it's so exciting. That's why I love it.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Can't beat it. 100%. So we'll see what kind of, leaks or reports we get out of practice this week. Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to hear it. Absolutely. Brian Smith, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
All the latest firings and recruiting momentum out of them. Oh, UCLA, by the way, Auburn might end up with one or two of the kids. It's possible. 5 kids decommitted today. Like one day from UCLA, man, after that fire. That's rough. That is rough. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I know.
What do you expect when you fire a coach this early in the season?
Yeah, 3 games in. Bye-bye. So at the Portal Podcast, check out your latest recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. By the way, Brent Pry, they got a few good recruits at Virginia Tech. Maybe one of them ends up. You never know. Like we were officially in coaching firing season.
Yeah.
So anything is possible for any team with the recruiting.
How many coaches in the SEC get fired this year?
2 or 3. 2 or 3. I mean, it'll just be standard. I don't know who they'll be. Somebody right now that we're not even thinking about will get fired because it's the SEC. Obviously,
one person we're thinking about definitely will get fired.
I keep checking. I can't refresh on that one, but that's another story.
Billy Napier's still employed. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but how much longer?
I don't know.
Yeah, the guy at Kentucky, those would be the two most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We will see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.